obviously, since we're talking about New Order among other things today, the
Yeah.
first question I have to ask you is, so Stevie Wonder was here yesterday.
I heard. I was just telling him, hey, who knew about that? And like, we didn't know till 9 p.m. So I'm like, okay, good.
Was it just a surprise set? A friend
Yeah,
of mine.
yeah. So Monday it's called Very Good Mondays, and it's one of our lead bartender is also a horn player, pretty well known in like the kind of like R&B and roots kind of music scene, like definitely like New Orleans kind of stuff. So he has this thing, and it started off as a jam session. It's kind of just become like this kind of invite only now. Like, it used to be like anybody could show up. Now it's like, kind of an in the know studio musician jam session. But I think he's curating it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably just just an open invitation to like Stevie and people of his stature to show up. If you show up, you show up. And Stevie showed up.
It's so random. I was like almost out the door, and I saw a friend of mine post video, and I was like, "Hey, I'm heading there right now." That's got to be my first question because it has nothing to do with New Order.
We can go in. I can show you where he was.
Ooh. Breathe some of the same air. All right, so let's talk your formative years. You were born outside of Chicago. I was born in Chicago. I moved when I was 6. I don't remember.
Where were you born?
Near the zoo. Is what
Brookfield?
I was like. Lincoln Park.
Oh, Lincoln Park. Okay, yeah, sure.
So you were brought up around music from the looks of it, and you were already playing in bands when you were a preteen, even like with your brother or other people or both.
Our first band was with me and my brother and my best friend from like grammar school, Tom Bogosian. That we were a 3-piece at the beginning. Yeah. And,
did you learn covers to start?
No, like we were literally like we didn't know what punk rock was, but we were punk rock. We were just like figuring it out on our own. Tom's older brother played bass, and so he kind of like would give us pointers a little bit. Okay. But like, Harry didn't even have drums. Like, he knew he wanted to play drums, so we just like filled like Tupperware bowls with like Tupperware things with water, and we had a cookie tin with BBs in it. He was just like kicking like a water like
bottle, like
bucket
the
thing.
Sparklets.
Yeah, just like kicking it, or like, we were just making it up. I mean, the first lineup was the made up drum set, a violin because Tom played violin, and then one of our neighbors had a Sears, like a silver tone or one of those kind of like slab guitars from the catalog company that kind of let us borrow it. Like, came over one day because I was like, oh, I really want to play guitar. I was like 9 or 10 at this time, and I just got like an acoustic guitar. My parents were like, well, if you're gonna play guitar, you're gonna have to take lessons, and you're gonna play classical guitar. So it's, the classic like parents like, you don't want to play that acid rock, you got to learn how to play classical music. So like that happened one day a week, but the rest of the week we were trying to be rockers.
How old were you when whatever you want to call it, new wave came along?
God, I mean, it just depends. Like, it was, unlike today where you can get everything in a finger snap, like you can go, oh, I'm in a new wave, and you can search it, and like, boom, you got like your essential albums, everything. You can, within a week, you can be an aficionado.
You walked in the snow uphill to the library to get your new wave records. I can see where this is going.
It felt like everything was happening in slow motion to me. Like, the way I discovered new wave was 2 things, because, it was mainly Saturday Night Live. So Saturday Night Live, like, the musical guests were amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, not just new wave, just everything. I mean, Sun Ra, just Leon Redbone, like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the hell is this?
I can see you based your whole career on Leon Redbone. It's so obvious. Now that you say that.
I mean, there's elements for sure. But like, it's like just like seeing like Blondie and B-52s and the Cars and even like Gary Newman,
Devo specials.
Devo,
the list goes on.
I mean, the Devo was just insane. Yeah. Like, and it was kind of a funny thing because like, like there was one, I think it was B-52s, where we were having a family party of some sort.
Whoa.
And all the kids and like some of the aunts and uncles were kind of lingering around the living room, the TV room, and B-52s come on, and everybody starts laughing, like just thinking it's a joke, like it's Saturday Night Live. This is a joke band, and I knew it. I mean, my gut instinct was like, no, and this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I literally, it was probably one of the first times I ever like piped up, and really showed my individuality. I told everyone to shut the fuck up. And I think it was Rock Lobster.
Yeah, of course.
Or it might have been Dance This Mess Around.
Oh, okay.
I think I can't remember, but it was a so from another world.
Amazing.
And everybody was like, oh, Dave's serious. Like, okay, let's give him his time, But like that, it was like a religion watching The Musical Guest for me.
Yeah.
That's really what broke me into it. Then, I was born in 1968, so.
Okay. You're just a few years older than me, so.
Yeah, so, I was 10 in 78. Mm-hmm. So, MTV, Harry and I watched the first broadcast the first day.
Whoa.
There's this new thing, it's called Music TV, and it was like this big thing, right? And I just remember being glued to MTV probably now we didn't have cable at our main house. We grew up in the suburbs.
Okay.
We had like stupid like things like On TV, which was like on demand, like
right.
these little boxes you would buy and stuff. So we had cable up in Wisconsin where my parents had a cottage.
Okay.
So every summer, like my mom would be like, "It's a beautiful day out. What are you doing inside?" "Watching MTV, Mom."
They might show a flock of seagulls again. I can't leave. I get it.
But like I think we were at a friend's house. It was like one of my dad's friends, and they were having a dinner party, and their TV room in the basement, and they had cable. And that was just so happened to be the first day MTV came out. And we were glued.
I'll bet.
We were glued to it. And then that really kind of like, between that, Saturday Night Live, and then growing up, both my parents weren't musicians at all. Like my dad played trumpet in 5th grade and like quit, and my mom knew a little bit of piano. But like how we discovered it was through my dad's 45 collection. My grandfather, my dad's dad, had a factory that built furniture, and one of the main things they did was build the mid-century stereo consoles for J.C. Penney, Sears.
The one in your lobby. That's the first thing when I come in. I'm like, oh, because I had one for a while and I missed it.
That's a new company.
That's
Ren Silva, and they're basically taking the cues off of like basically what my grandpa used to build. And so we had one of these like crazy deluxe units in the basement. It had a reel-to-reel, had like a microphone, like for when you're having your party, you can talk to your guests.
Pseudo karaoke.
Yeah, or just whatever, like at-home PA for a party,
That's right.
So we had a microphone. We had all this. It was all tube. It was all really, really cool. I mean, I remember turning on the system and just smelling it, and I'm like 7, 8.
Yes.
I turn it on. I'm like, oh, that's the smell of old circuits.
Yes.
So Harry and I would just devour our dad's 45 collection. He had a few hundred it was a crazy amount of 7-inches he had. So that was our kind of introduction to music.
So by the time MTV comes along, you're already playing, and are you getting into the synth side of things at that point, or no?
So, oh wait a second, what's going on here?
I can always chop up later, so don't worry about it.
The earliest like synth kind of thing was Casio. We had Speak and Spells.
An actual toy or the Depeche Mode record?
No, the toy Speak and Spells.
Yes, of course.
Like we had all these electronic gadgets, which culminated to like some electronic instruments like drums, like the Synsonic.
Okay.
I think that's what they're called. Synsonic drums, which is like this little 4-pad.
Okay.
Like, early primitive drum machine. It looks like something from Kraftwerk, but like made by Mattel.
Right.
And it came out in the late 70s
or
like maybe 80, 81. So around 80, 81, we were like kind of really getting into Casios. Like we had this little one, the one that like Trio used, like doop boop
Yes, you're talking about the greatest record ever.
Literally, that drum beat's on there. Yeah, like So like that was kind of like our first, and then seeing the synth bands like on Saturday Night Live. Chicago radio wasn't super progressive. Like,
did it have an alt station?
It kinda. I mean, the Loop and then WLS. I mean, no, not really.
Okay.
I mean,
eventually.
Yeah, like in the early '80s, like when I started getting hip to like alternative music or punk music, I would be able to get WNUR from Northwestern University, and that was a really good. I mean, still is a really great college station. So, like, depending on like how the wind was blowing, I would be able to get like, WNUR, which wasn't even that far away, but it was a super low wattage.
Yeah, I know.
But like
those.
Steve Albini actually was a DJ there for a second, like in the early '80s and stuff. But like, so I would be able to discover stuff like through there. But the synth stuff, I think the first real synth was when the Poly 800 came out by Korg.
Okay.
And it was like the first really affordable synthesizer. And God, I'm trying to remember. I mean, it probably was like 83 or 4, mid 80s by the time we got like a real synth.
And how much does something like that cost back then? Because when things come out, like you said, it's affordable.
It's made out of plastic, and it's like, it had all the like New Order sounds, like all the sounds you want, it might have been like $500, which was a lot of money then. But,
couple grand now, but yes.
Like to get like a real like synth back then, you're spending $2,000.
Yeah,
and that's unobtainable by kids
and
stuff.
Nice.
Hey, so that was like the first synth. Oh no, well not really. Our friend who we played in a band with at that time. His name was Rod Officer, real name.
Nice, destined to be a cop.
Rodney, if you're out there listening, hello, man.
Let's find him.
He had an ARP Pro Soloist.
Yeah, there's your New Order.
Yeah, so ARP Pro Soloist, which was like kind of like the preset version of a mono synth.
Okay.
You can do some tweaking on it. So we had that, and then we had the Poly 800. Yeah.
So, what were your first memories, I guess, of hearing either Joy Division or New Order?
Well, like I said, like stuff moves slow, especially being in Midwest. Midwest was at least a couple years behind the trends.
Even a big town like Chicago.
I felt like it. I mean, but then again, I was only like 12, 13, 14 when this was happening. I mean, Joy Division, I would have been like 11 or 12. Like way like I was
very few people in America,
I wasn't that
I think,
cool, man.
knew about it. Yeah, probably almost nobody.
I think like the big turn for like British new wave, like the big three, Cure, Smiths, New Order.
Oh, those are your big three, because most people say Cure, Smiths, Depeche Mode in Southern California.
No.
We talk about this constantly. Go ahead. We call it the Holy Trinity of Mopedom, and you've got New Order. That's great.
I wasn't. We'll talk about Depeche Mode, but like, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Daniel Miller, Mute Records.
You wrote a song about Silicon Kings.
Silicon Kings,
yeah, right.
So like, I got a whole thing about that.
Sure.
That's a whole sidebar,
of course.
But like, the real pinnacle for me was going to do this. So I was playing in like youth symphony and stuff like that, and we did this youth symphony tour of Europe.
Oh wow!
In the summer of '84. Yeah, I think it was 84 or 85. It was like right around that 84 or 85. And
to the promised land.
So it was mostly Germany and Switzerland and all these like mainland Europe.
What were you playing in that?
A string bass.
Okay.
So I grew up playing string bass in all the bands and orchestras and stuff.
Yeah.
And P bass and jazz band and stuff. But like we went over to England and spent like a week in London and like going up around UK playing shows. But we were basically centered in London, and I just remember like I had my new wave haircut. Wasn't quite Robert Smith yet.
Yes,
It was definitely like braided, like Thompson Twins style, Like I had the tail, and I had the poofy like mullet kind of thing going on. Worn bowling shoes, like like basically the American version of what I, was thinking new wave was.
Yes.
So I showed up to London ready for it, but then walking around, seeing people wearing this shirt with this huge face of a guy on it, and it said Smiths. So I'm like, what's the Smiths? And I went to the record store, and we walk in, and it's the first Smiths records there, and I think Meet His Murder was about to come out, or might have just came out. So immediately I bought like what I think was called Hatful of Hollow,
right?
And then
which has How Soon Is Now.
Yeah, and then shortly after, I don't know, I can't remember when I bought Meet His Murder, but yeah. So and then I already knew The Cure. I already was familiar with the Boys Don't Cry LP that they only put out in America.
Right.
That
which
had
is great.
Kind of like that, like cut and paste, like collage.
Three
beat.
Imaginary Boys songs, but on that.
Yeah, but I think it was called Boys Don't Cry.
Yeah.
And so that was that. But then New Order. Like, this was like one of the bands I discovered on that trip. And I didn't really know about them before that. And, just kind of taking my cues from like girls on the subway, like wearing shirts, or the Tube, should I say the Tube?
Right, yeah.
So after that trip, I came back, and it was like I had my holy trinity going, Depeche Mode wasn't in it. So
it's interesting.
Depeche Mode to me was a little too bubblegummy.
At first, for sure.
Yeah. By like 80, I would say like the end of 85, I was like, okay, I'm getting into it.
Yeah,
and I
they got darker.
There was this club, these kind of like all ages clubs in Chicago. Around 85 is when it really started kicking in.
Yeah.
It's this place called Medusa's.
Yes.
And it was amazing for weirdo kids, because like pretty much it was like a mecca. Every kid from like the surrounding 100 miles would go there Friday and Saturday night.
Right.
And
I mean, Chicago might be the epicenter for kind of darker British influence stuff, if only because I always think of, Ministry sounding British.
Of course. So I mean, funny you bring that up. With Sympathy, I got Win Sympathy like the month it came out, and I think it was like 82 or 83.
Okay.
Like, so I had that before New Order. That With Sympathy was like my in fact, the older brother of my friend John Bogosian, had that record because he was, by that time like maybe like first year of college or something, and like he bought the record because it was a local band actually, and like was like he bought it on recommendation, and he goes. He gave me the record. He goes, Dave, I think you're gonna like this. I'm not really into it, and he was kind of more into like prog rock and stuff like that. So like he's like, I think you're gonna like this, Dave. So he gave it to me. I got With Sympathy from him. So and just was obsessed. I had a Walkman. I put it on a tape and would just fall asleep every night listening to With Sympathy. So that was like my real catapult into synth pop.
Yeah. I mean, I love talking to American Anglophiles. You're sitting here wearing a Bauhaus shirt.
Yeah.
And we're talking about New Order, and we're so American, but there's just something about it. So you're listening to that and playing music. Does it start to seep in then, or is it not till Pulsars that you kind of went back and start playing that kind of synth new wavy influence?
It was
stuff?
always like this thing under my skin. And being in a band, as being in bands, like you have a lot of different personalities, and it's a group effort. So at this point we had like a 4 or 5 piece band, and everybody had their influences, and they just weren't quite all aligning. So we never really, and I feel like we never really hit that full alignment, because Harry and I were on the same page the whole time. We shared the record collection, and if I wanted a record, I'd buy it for his birthday, typical brother stuff.
A gift for yourself.
He put the property of Harry on it. But so like I mean, funny, like we formed the Pulsars in '94, and like we didn't really hit full like same page until it was just me and Harry, So, and that was kind of like a reaction to like the music scene that was surrounding us at the time, which was overly serious American indie rock, and grunge was starting to wear off,
Yep.
But I mean, we played it. I would say like our high school, later high school, early post high school bands were very Cure goth centric. Pretty funny that we played the first 3 Smashing Pumpkins shows. Like
Opening?
Well, yeah, basically, like they weren't even really a big band yet. So
they were a Cure tribute band, right?
I'm
kidding because like some of that early stuff is so awesomely Cure. Like
it's Cure and it's cult.
Yes,
it has a very cult thing.
Totally.
So like the first 2 shows we played with them, and I can't remember if we headlined or what. Like I think we were just like we were kind of equals at that point. But by the third, so quick story: the first 2 shows. They had Roland Jazz Chorus amps. James Eha, we went to high school with James. Like he went to the high school next to ours, like the same school district. We used to play like high school gigs together and stuff with his band and our bands. But so they had like these like pedals, a lot of boss delay and reverbs and jazz courses and very Texas death cult. Like that was and so. The third gig, they're starting to, they have this little cassette that was getting traction, and like they started playing like Cabaret Metro, which was like the cool club.
Yeah. And
they're getting a buzz. So they were headlining a show that we opened up. At this point, we are firmly the opener. And there's a band called Glory Hounds that we had. And we show up, and they're finishing their sound check, and they have like half stack Marshalls. There's a girl playing bass. Her name's Darcy.
Yes.
She's playing through a full-blown amp peg, and
now they rock.
They to our ears, they sound like Bachman Turner Overdrive. We didn't know it was the beginning of grunge. It was like 1988 or 89.
Just after Nothing Shocking comes out.
Yeah, it was just right in that little pocket. It wasn't the 90s yet.
Right. Yeah.
And they found a really great place to record up in Madison for like $150 a day with this guy Butch.
Right.
This is the word backstage. Like, oh, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're going up to Madison to record. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I didn't know there was a studio up there. Yeah, there's this guy Butch. He's really cool. So
what a rapper that guy.
The rest is history.
Right.
But like, it blew our minds. I was like, what is this? I thought they were new wave goth band. Like they sound like rock. What is this music? That was my first exposure to what became grunge.
Right.
So yeah.
So you're sort of bringing back new wave, and I love talking to people that were doing that. Like we always talk about in 1988, the radio station in San Diego that we grew up on did a flashback weekend where they were playing songs from 5 years ago because it seemed like ancient history. So in the 90s, I'm sure like you have bands like the Rentals and you guys that you're always going to be kind of lumped in, but it always sounds so futuristic at the same time. What was it like doing new wave in the 90s or something that was even slightly new wave?
So that late 80s to like early 90s through the grunge years, I call them, where I don't call them, I think history calls them.
Sure.
In my head, I'm like, oh, those grunge years.
Yeah, everyone wore flannel. Every single right.
But that was a weird time in music. Really weird. I mean, especially my nickname in the 80s was New Wave Dave. So like when New Wave started to like go away, I was like, oh, that's my whole identity. Like, what's going on here?
Right.
This isn't new wave. This is rock and roll,
It's timeless.
So our bands that Harry and I, we were like playing with friends, and by the time like 92, 93 rolled around, we were in a very angular noise, very touch and go, Steve Albini kind of scene, like the Jesus Lizard kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Band called Larry Cash Jr.
Okay.
And And it was cool, and like I would try to sneak in like little like hooks here and there, but there was like this kind of underlying rules and regulations that all the fanzines like Your Flesh and like all these like fanzines that were bubbling up in the early 90s, and this is the renaissance of indie labels, you know.
Totally.
So it was like, oh, not cool to have a hook, like you can't, like if it's catchy, it's totally not acceptable.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like that's not
No.
real art. You know?
Right.
So we were just getting kind of like, we loved the bands we were playing in and our friends we were playing in, but it got to a point where Harry and I are like, man, we're kind of losing the plot to what we wanted to do music for, and that was going back to the 45s, going back to, you know, like that early 80s MTV new wave explosion, you know, where we just like 3-minute hooky pop songs. And so we started the Pulsars as kind of a rejection of the scene we were in, you know, and we didn't really give two shits about what people thought at that point. We were just like, fuck it, we're just gonna, this is our fun band, and you know, it might just be for ourselves, like we don't might not even play a show,
Right. But people ended up digging it.
yeah, like it was like one of those, like, you know, like we kind of came out of nowhere where people are like, who are these guys? Like, how do they like get a record deal? It's like, well, we played in 6 bands before the Pulsars. And, like, you know, every band had a headshot and a bio. And, you know, Pulsars is the first band we were like, no, we don't have a headshot. No, we don't have a bio. No, we're not really going to play shows. And we decided, well, let's go try some of these songs live, because half the band's programmed synth bass. And it was the first band I played guitar in. Up until then, I was playing bass in all the bands, because for me, I wanted to have a band. That was the most important.
Sure.
So whatever anybody else wouldn't want to do, I would play it, and that would always be bass. And then that's how I became a singer, because nobody could step up to the mic and really pull it up, you know, be the singer or say they're the singer. So I became the singer because nobody else would be the singer. You know, I recorded all our rehearsals because I was obsessed with hearing playback, but nobody else really cared about that. So I became the recording engineer producer, and it's all just because nobody else wanted to do it. So I can't remember what we're talking about. We'll get
some band called the
Pulsars.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Exactly. So Pulsars. So Harry and I are like, man, how are we gonna do this live? Half the band's program.
And when you were doing, would the whole set be on one piece of meat? Like how were you playing?
Yeah. So we had to figure this out. So our early shows. Well, here's the other thing people don't really know, because other than the hidden track T9000 Walks the Moon, it's all like kind of like 3-4 minute pop songs, other than maybe Das Lifeboat's like more of an epic rock track.
Right.
But like our early stuff was intermixed between ambient and 3-minute pop songs. So we'd open the set with an ambient piece, play like a little ditty, then go back into this weird Brian Eno ambience for a few minutes with maybe some surf guitar kind of breaking through the haze, you know, and then click, 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 another 3-minute pop song. So we were doing this with synths, of course, and we didn't know how we were going to do it live. So at that time, all we had was a DAT machine. We were doing everything analog.
Right.
You know? And so we would basically put a mono track with all the synths and all the programming.
Okay.
And then the other part of the DAT, 2-track DAT, was the click track.
Okay.
So Harry had a DAT machine next to him, and he basically, we wired it so one output went to his headphones and one went to the house.
Got it.
You know?
And it was just one on that DAT tape was your whole 45 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't like you were switching between tracks. I don't know.
No,
if
we basically pre-configured like the set on the DAT tape.
And I can't remember. Did the visuals on TV? I should say I saw Pulsars.
This is moving along a couple years.
Yes.
From this first gig. Yeah.
So you record a record and it's well received, and then I see you and I could not find it. I'm like, I'm gonna find that first show. It was opening for Cibo Matto.
Oh.
And it had to be Irvine. It was some college campus between LA and San Diego. I don't remember where.
I remember that.
It was great. We were obsessed with Cibo Matto, and then we're like, no, who are these guys?
Yeah.
And then I saw you the next night at the Casbah in San Diego. Same show.
Absolutely.
And I remember the TVs because I grew up around video. That's my family business. And I don't remember if the TVs were just random images or was it synced?
So this all synced. By then we had a digital 8-track. We had Tascam DA88 for our tracks, and then we had SVHS decks that were in sync with the 8-track that would play like pre-figured out images and stuff. And it would, at that point it was super DIY, like camcorder videos we made with like, or found, S&M footage for like submission song.
Right.
Tunnel Song had these like Matchbox cars going through like some kind of chasm.
I mean, if you go see Depeche Mode or somebody huge at that time, you might see videos, but back then nobody was doing that in a club.
Funny story.
Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, we were ahead of our time, and and by the time we got to the Weezer opening up for the Pinkerton tour, by that time we had literally had a full backup band on separate screens.
Oh wow.
And like we're
all you.
Yeah, well, we had on our recordings we had Sally Timms from the Mekons. She like sang some background, so we kind of like did a thing where it looked kind of like the Human League, where it was just like her lips,
just her lips,
like painted on birthmark, and we're sing a little thing, or like our friend Mike Hagler, who I owned King Size with in Chicago. He's officially like the third silent ghost member of the Pulsars, so he played a bunch of the guitar like stuff we would reamp, but when it would come on, it would just be his telly and it would just be his torso. You wouldn't see his face, you just see a telly and you see the guy playing.
Right.
So first show with Weezer, Roseland Ballroom.
Oh, I don't want to hear this. I can already see this is going.
We play it. We use our video backup band. Next morning we get a phone call. Can't use the video backup band. It's too good.
Oh, wow.
Because at this point, God bless them, Weezer. I love that band. But like they just had the W with some lights. We had a video backup band, and like it was like, what the hell is this? So we had to dumb it down, and we scrambled, and we just did oscilloscopes on all the screens for that tour. I don't know. I think you told me you saw us playing at like what is now the Observatory. It might have been called, I can't remember.
Well, unless that was that one Orange County show. I'm pretty sure it was a small college. That was with Cibo Matto. That definitely wasn't Weezer.
You didn't see us with Weezer then?
No. Was that before or after Cibo, do you think?
It was after.
Okay.
It was one of our last big tours that we did. But anyways, like we had to dumb it down. Yeah.
So. That's so great. Yeah. So I saw last night that you probably have the strange honor of being maybe the only American band to have opened for Blur and Oasis.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Which was more fun?
I mean, they both have their merits.
Yes. Yes.
It was Park Life for Blur tour, and then I actually got to open for Oasis a few times.
Okay.
And the first time was within a band called Ashtray Boy.
Okay.
And it was this 3-piece kind of indie pop band I played with Randall Lee from Sydney. And so we did the first Oasis shows, like I think the first 3 Oasis shows in America.
Okay.
And that was a whole other story.
Was that Midwest or was that out here?
Cleveland, Providence, and one other show. I can't remember.
Because me and my co-host saw the San Francisco show on that tour, so I know how they
It was
were.
just the beginning of the tour.
Yeah,
and it shocked us because we played a place called Grog Shop.
I've heard
Cleveland.
of it. Yes,
it's like 100 cap room,
right?
And they had a tour bus.
Oh my God, I love that.
We showed up in our Honda hatchback, like the clown car that it was.
Yes.
And I just remember getting out and some guy sitting in the front seat of the bus with his legs crossed smoking a cigarette, and I offered him some Snyder's of Hanover steak and onion chips. I kind of pushed it up to the bus window.
Yes.
And he just kind of waved me on like a royal, like just kind of like flicking his cigarette around, like, move along, you peasant. That was Liam Gallagher. I
was going to say, which Gallagher was it? That's so funny.
So so moving forward to like the Pulsar show. So this kind of pertains to our first gigs. So we decided to play this open mic night our friend put on. It was totally low pressure. It was a Monday night. It was at Lounge Axe, which is like the cool indie club at the time.
Heard of it.
And so we were playing, and it just so happens one of those shows, I can't remember which one, but there was these big promoters from like one of the local like big promotion companies there. Just happened to see us. They were having a beer. And they're like, who the hell are you guys? Like, what is going on with this band? Like, we're pretty shocking for the time, like the synths and all that. It wasn't cool to have guitars, like rocking drums and like synthesizers in the same band at that moment, you know. So they were like, well, who are you guys? You're just a two-piece? Like, wow, yeah. The next thing we know, we're getting calls to open up for Blur and Oasis.
Nice.
So Oasis was that was probably right at their first really big tour, like with Wonderwall was a hit and all that. So we played at the Aragon Ballroom, which is like a 5,000 cap. And
is that the biggest Pulsar show, maybe?
No, we played some really huge shows in Japan.
Oh,
like 50,000 in Japan.
With who?
Festivals.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's totally cliche. Like, we're huge in
Huge
Japan.
in Japan, yes, of
You know,
course.
nobody knows us here, but
That's right.
go to Japan, they know us.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's great.
At the time. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, the Oasis show was insane. It was like our first real big show. And I just remember the PA, like the monitors they were using were so powerful and so good that it blew like my pants against my legs, the sound pressure. And I was like, oh, this is what it's like to play a big show, you know. But it was kind of totally surreal, you know. One other thing, there's two highlights to the show other than playing the show.
Yes.
First one is soccer balls hitting us at sound check.
Jesus.
Liam just dribbling a soccer ball and like taking full on shots on the goal at the stage when we're sound like it literally soccer ball flying past our heads and stuff, you know. Okay, and then the other is, so my cousin Michelle Trumfio was a plaster caster back in the day.
Oh shit! Here we go.
So I knew Cynthia Plastercaster pretty well. R.I.P. She died a few years ago, but she was a good friend of the band, almost like an auntie figure, you know. And she's like, "Oh, you guys have to introduce me to the Gallagher brothers." So that after sound check, we go backstage into the inner sanctum, and we get this kind of like, "What are you guys doing back here?" And I'm like. And I saw Noel, and Noel remembers me from Ashtray Boy, from because he actually watched our shows, and he was actually pretty nice, you know. He actually
sounds about right.
He gave a shit, you know. And he's like, oh hey, I'm like, hey, no, Dave, like, you know, Pulsars, but we met. Remember, like the small car, because the Ashtray Boy tour, the shows we did, they put a cone out in front of the bus for us for the rest of the shows.
Yes, for
our little hatchback. But I was like, you know, the small car. He's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, hey, I want to introduce you to Cynthia Plastercaster, and he's like, oh my god, oh hi. And then she's, well, can she meet your brother? And like, there's like this kind of hesitation, like
why don't you want mine?
No, like both. Like, she wanted to meet both the brothers,
right.
And like, so we go into this back room behind one of the other rooms, which is a private dressing room for Liam. That has it's like a huge room, like 40 feet by 40 feet.
Okay,
has an ice sculpture. We walk in. In the center of the room is a French scroll couch.
Okay. With
Liam draped over it with like what's obviously like some escort kind of model girls, you know. Like, I don't know, I don't know, but it was like
right as Rider,
dude. It was like right out of a movie. It was right out of a movie. That's all I can say. And there's an ice sculpture, and then there's like a standalone butler-looking bartender with a vodka bar, like just making vodka drinks.
Okay.
And we walk in, and it's me, my brother, Cynthia, and Noel. And, like, you know, it's pretty far away from... So when we're walking in, you see Liam look over and, like, has this kind of gesture, like, what the fuck are you doing in here? Like,
my room.
This is my room, you know? And, like, Noel's like, no, this is Cynthia Plastercaster. Like, oh, yeah, Pulsars, Cynthia Plastercaster. So, like, he, like...
had to explain to him.
He totally, like, straightens up, and he's like, oh, hello. Like, so, anyways, we're getting off on a sidebar here.
My gosh.
It feels like we should go on that sidebar because of the recent announcement and the fact that we were one of the only American bands opening up for them. Yeah,
who could have opened up for? I was trying to think about it because I'm Team Blur. I like Oasis, but like I'm totally Team Blur. But I love a good Gallagher story. So, so thanks. So after all that fun, you guys did a second record that didn't come out,
right?
And now it sounds like a lot of that is maybe coming out. You're working on it now.
Yeah, so I mean, the band, we were Pulsars for about 7 years,
Mm-hmm.
6.5, 7 years, and after our first record, kind of didn't perform the way it was supposed to perform,
Mm-hmm.
and it really wasn't our fault. It was a bunch of inter-label stuff with Geffen and Elmo Sounds, from what we found out. Basically, we're on tour with Weezer, and we're supposed to be piggybacking with the Geffen,
Mm-hmm.
like, promo. And, like, the first or second day of the tour, they pulled the label from Geffen. So all our PRs, like, fell through the roof, fell through the floor. So, you know, the first record was received well by critics, but not necessarily a big seller.
Right.
And so we go back into the studio working on our second record. We're about to finish our second record, and we get this phone call from Herb, basically telling us, like, look, we're not really having fun doing this. Like, the industry's going in a direction we don't want to go, and that was modern streaming. Apple Music was just starting.
Right.
Napster was a big problem.
Sure.
So he's like, you know, I hate to make these calls, but I'm calling everybody to, like, personally to let them know, you know.
This is Herb Alpert, by
Herb
the way.
Alpert.
Yeah.
Herb Alpert. And totally one of the most nicest, sincere guys that I've met in the music industry.
Nice.
You know, he actually played on our records. Like, he's like, oh, I'll play on your record.
Uh-huh.
You know, like,
That's so great.
'cause, you know, I mean, the Pulsars are just a little weird that way. Like, we actually had, like, parts that Herb could play. You know? So,
Poppy enough to need that.
no,
brass.
I mean, I wrote them before we even met Herb. You know, like, I had, like, in like Ode to a Devil, like,
Yeah. Totally.
like, I literally did the guide track with my mouth.
I'm about to do that in a couple days. I understand completely.
But, like, and Herb's like, oh, I like the sound of that. Let's do it together. Like, you know, it's like that track is, like, him
I can
and
hear
my
that.
voice,
It's
like, in there.
trumpet talk box almost.
Yeah. And then our friend Dave Crawford, Max Crawford, he goes by. He was kind of our go-to horn guy before we even met Herb. So we kind of blended. It was Herb, Max, and my voice on all the horn stuff on that album.
Cool. Well, it's interesting because it puts you guys on a really odd list of one album wonders. And I remember maybe you posted, like, oh, we made this list.
Yeah, the Rolling
and
Stones.
Yeah, the list of one album wonders is insane because they all have their own interesting stories. Sex Pistols being obviously usually the number one. But what other bands were on there that you were like, oh wow, yeah,
Well, Young Marble Giants is on there. One of my favorite bands. I ended up working with Stewart, and I'm actually doing a record with Stewart currently, in the middle of producing with him. God, it's a pretty interesting list.
It is. You know? It is something I never thought about. You hear one-hit wonders all the time, but not one album wonders. The Laws, which is one of my favorite records.
Laws,
we ranked that album recently. So
yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, it was shocking. It was shocking to me to, like, you know, that came out, I think, in 2016, 2017, and long, like, off the radar.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we're literally a lost band from the 90s because after the call with Herb, you know, the label folded, and, like, we had an option to go do a new record, go do a new deal. Like, they were like, yeah, you're free and clear. You can go do a new deal. And my brother was just like, look, you know, like, I need to finish college. And it just so happened at the time I was actually pretty busy as a producer.
Right.
You know, so it's like, okay, yeah, this is a good time to put the bookmark in. Like, let's circle back in a couple years and see. And Harry was just like, look, I'm not going back in a van. You know, I'm not going to sleep on floors. Like, you know, like, if we do a deal, we gotta, like, it has to be right.
Right.
So it just kind of ran its natural course at that point for us to bookmark it until maybe, like, that article actually kind of, like, lit a match, like, you know, and, like,
who are these guys?
I think part of it was, it's kind of embarrassing. It's not available on streaming anywhere. The only way you can hear our record online
YouTube, maybe?
is YouTube, and it's not from us.
Right.
It's fan uploaded. Everything out there on the internet right now as this recording, other than Lost Transmission,
right,
which is just a rarities outtakes.
Which I listened to last night.
Cool. is all fan uploaded.
Yeah.
So there's no official Pulsars released music in the modern age until now, until this fall.
Oh, that's probably right.
Yeah.
So like you're saying, you were doing a lot of production stuff, and
Yeah.
I know that when I read that you had started going into that world, however many years ago, that I looked up everything you'd done, but I forgot, and so
I mean, even before the Pulsars, I was producing records. Yeah.
Right. So, but then looking at all the stuff that you guys did, or you did after that, I loved getting reminded of all the people you worked with, because you had told me that you were sort of a go-to guy if you wanted synth and new wavy type sounds. But the fact that you worked with Kofax and Mates of State, which were like two of my favorite groups from around that era, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. I love that you worked with them. But the one I always
Anniversary.
Oh yeah.
Anniversary Designing and Nerford's Breakdown.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're such good records. Granddaddy. I mean, but the one that I remember talking to you about when I first met you, because it seems so incongruent. It's not like it's a new wave record, but it's definitely got the spatial synths. Is Wilco's Summer Teeth, which is one of my favorite records ever. What? Tell me how that, because I think you guys did Mermaid Avenue before that one, or
I was trying to remember the sequence. It was kind of interspersed,
Mm-hmm.
and in fact, like we were working on Summer Teeth, and we got the call that Wilco was going to come in to the studio, and they just like booked like, I think it was like 3 weeks.
So this was a studio that you were like in house at?
No, so this is King Size. It's my studio. I had a studio for 10 years
in Chicago.
Before I moved to LA.
Okay.
And they booked it, and we knew Jeff and Wilco just through Lounge Acts, because Jeff was married to the owner of Lounge Acts.
Right.
So Sue, and he kind of approached us to restart working, and Jay Bennett, was in the band then. Sure. And he was a Svengali of synths, everything. Like he could jump on a B3, he could play guitar, he could play a mini Moog, like he was insane.
Yeah.
But like they just knew, like, we had the studio, we had a bunch of synths, and the Pulsars record by then was out, and I don't know if it was consciously like, hey, we're gonna go work there because of the Pulsars and Dave working with synths, but it just kind of like happened by osmosis. I think it was kind of a combo.
So were you helping program, or what?
No, it was all organic. It was no sequencing. It was all played live.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we just had a smorgasbord of synths, so it was just like, okay, great, and boo,
love it. Right.
That's my Moog source.
Yes.
Just happened to be set up in the control room for those sessions.
Were you engineering, or
yeah,
were
engineering.
You...
Engineering. I mean, the way like Wilco and like the way Mekons, I play in the Mekons.
Right.
Like the way these records happen, it's kind of like everybody in the room kind of involved. Like everybody has their job, and there isn't like, this is the producer. It's just kind of an organic. Things just happen. I wouldn't say like committee, but like it was very much like Jay and Jeff, and then me and Mike Hagler just kind of doing the day to day and making suggestions, like fixing stuff, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So King Size, you took the name and you moved out here when?
Moved here right when the whole Elmo Sounds deal was falling apart, and I had.
So late 90s?
Yeah, between 99 and 2000.
Okay.
So my wife, Rana, we started going out in 99, like the end of 99. And she used to be a makeup artist and doing like shoots and fashion and movies. And she's originally from Chicago. So I was like, well, like, you want to move back to Chicago? Like, what's going on? Like, where are we going to go with this? And she's like, no, I'm not moving back to Chicago. They do music in LA. Like, you might want to move here. And I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. I might want to move here. So I moved to LA.
Okay.
So I moved to LA, and originally I wasn't going to open a studio. I was just going to have my rack of gear, my Pro Tools rig, and I was going to go work at the legendary studios in LA, like Sunset, Capitol, like all the big studios. Only problems, I'm making, for every major label project I worked on 9 indie rock label projects. And at that time, like a big budget for an indie record would be like $25,000. Speaking of Kofax, they got signed to Vagrant via the Get Up Kids label, Heroes and Villains. And I think it was probably one of the bigger indie budgets I had up to that point. It was, I think, $25K. And I blew that like in 2 weeks in LA. I was just like, by the end of that record, it had to do with love. What
a record!
I think I made $300 off that record. So it became very obvious I needed to have my own workshop. So that's when we started King Size in LA. It would have been in the beginning of 2001.
And is that in the same location that it's in now?
Yeah, it's over in now they call it Glassell Park. Back then it was just known as Eagle Rock.
Right.
It's on Eagle Rock Boulevard.
Okay.
But the general term for that area used to be Eagle Rock. Now it's Highland Park, Eagle Rock, and Glassell Park.
Nice.
But we're technically in Glassell Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where you do most of your work, or are you here at?
It's kind of a split up. I have a home studio, so right when my kids. So Ron and I got married.
Nice.
And we had kids.
I met one or two of them.
Do. Oh yeah, they came to Troubadour.
Yes.
When we did was that the 20th anniversary?
I don't remember.
The Blue record.
It must have been.
Yeah.
No, Pinkerton.
Oh, it's Pinkerton.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was.
Which I didn't even mention that. So the way that I ended up. I mean, we had met. I don't know. Actually, I might not talk to you at Pulsar shows. This was 20 years later. I always say in third person, my grandpa's band, Geezer, which we do old man stuff, but we do a lot of Weezer. So we were doing Pinkerton, and I thought, who can I get in L.A. to sing with us?
Yeah.
And I saw that Dave was in Los Angeles, dropped him a random Facebook message. He responded and said, absolutely, and got up and sang with us and brought his kids, which was so cool.
Yeah.
And
Jasper and Bennett, they got to hang out in the loft.
Yeah, the famous.
Actually, in the dressing room.
Right.
You can look down on the stage. That was a fun. I think I just stumbled upon some pictures of it actually.
Oh, I'd love to see those.
Yeah.
Facebook reminds me once a year that I walk down those stairs.
Yeah,
because I always thought that was like such a big deal. And then it must not have been too shortly after that I was, being Facebook friends with you, I knew what you were always up to, and you started playing with the band Moving Units. Now, but I don't know if that was just for when they were doing Joy Division covers, or was that something else?
It was kind of both. I mean, I would play one of the main reasons I got together with them was to start I wanted to get back into playing. So, I knew Blake from early days of Moving Units. He did a bunch of pre-production at King Size. And so we just kind of reconnected, and I just started kind of working with them, and then we decided to do the Collision with Joy Division tribute record. And so that's when we went out. We did some shows. We did actually a whole North American tour.
In looking for it last night, I saw some flyers. I was like, right. I couldn't even remember the name Moving Units. My brain is so bad.
So we would do 2 sets a night. We would do a Joy Division set, and then we'd do a Moving Unit set.
Fun. And that was around the time that you were also doing, was it Viktor Fiction?
Viktor Fiction. So that was like part of me getting back into the driver's seat, and it was right when it just so happened we were on that tour when the Rolling Stone Top 40 One and Done album list came out. And the stars aligned, and I was just like, bing! Like, really should probably get the Pulsar stuff going again.
Nice.
And it took a while. I mean,
it's been a while.
Different, but it just for other, like, COVID happened. There's some contractual stuff, it just took time to kind of get to where we are today, right here talking.
So how fun was it, or was it fun to try and dial in the sounds of Joy Division when you were doing that? Were you trying to recreate like perfectly, or were you sort of giving it your own thing?
I don't know if we were trying to do it perfect. Since then, audio technology has come a long way, so it's kind of hard to force yourself to dumb it down. So I mean, I think it sounds pretty. The vibes there, and it's probably a little meatier, a little bigger sounding than the primitive kind of. Even though I love all the stuff they recorded back then.
Sure.
But, Yeah.
Do you have a preference on? Because I know people are usually team Joy Division or New Order. You started with New Order. Most Americans
I mean,
did.
I started with New Order.
Yeah,
so,
I think most people.
I mean, the whole Joy Division, like, thing kind of like came second. Rediscovering their early stuff. Which kind of brings me to Low Life.
Yes.
I mean, Low Life was really. I mean, Power Corruption Lies, killer record, but I discovered New Order from Low Life.
Gotcha.
Low Life was that trip to England and like
oh yeah,
just being hip to like synth pop tones and stuff like that. Being a Chicagoan and having the early new wave ministry, which Al Jorgensen completely hates, but
he does.
And they did a heavy metal version of it.
I know. I've seen some of those videos. I love it. I'd always hoped that they would do a metal version of that, at least that. And now they're kind of doing it.
I met Steve George a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came here to Gold Diggers because he's a engineer producer himself. So
did you guys talk Chicago?
Oh, he was half ministry for With Sympathy.
Right. Yeah.
So we had a great time talking to him. But anyways, like Low Life. I have to say, like after devouring and getting into Joy Division, New Order, all this stuff, I love the post Joy Division beginning of New Order.
Me too.
That's like in that kind of nether world of is this Joy Division or New Order?
Yep.
I mean, there's magical stuff happening there.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like that. Out of all that era, probably the best.
Yeah, I think me too.
But I have a sugar tooth. I like the pop, and I just think Low Life. Not just because that's what kind of introduced me to New Order, but like that has the perfect balance of arty and pop.
Okay.
Like, like Face Up or, I obviously love Vigilantes. It's probably one of their most straightforward pop songs that they've ever done.
For sure.
Perfect Kiss. That's probably my trilogy.
Yeah, those three. Well, it's fun because after I asked you to do it, you and our friend Adam Lasus, producer, we were both every day posting one of your favorite. I can't remember what the definition was. Favorite or most influential?
Influential on your taste in music.
Okay, so like a few days
20's
after.
not enough. 20's not enough.
Oh God, it's never right.
I was about.
I mean, that's our whole podcast is trying to cram in all of our likes and dislikes. So, but yeah, just a couple days after. I asked you to do this. You posted Low Life as one of your absolute favorites. So
I mean, it really shaped me musically, especially. I mean, if you listen to the Pulsars, like there's a lot of that in there. Like I was just listening to it last night because I thought I should probably brush up a little.
Yep.
We're having this talk. And there's literally like riffs in there that I subconsciously completely put in my songs.
Understood.
Like there's that's the little guitar part, and like it's like, oh man, that's total Pulsars like, debut record melody,
I totally hate. When was the first time you think you saw them?
Saw them?
You must have.
I saw them right around that time, probably 85, 86. Like it might have been the summer of 86. They were on tour, and it was in an outdoor kind of amphitheater place, and there was an electrical storm.
Oh wow!
And this is back in the day when they were running sequencers,
right? Oh jeez.
And there was a bunch of power dips. And it just threw off all their keyboards. And like half the show was them rebooting their sequencers and rebooting samplers. And, like they had like a serious live setup then. And like, I just remember it being like just a lackluster experience because they just couldn't fight
the technology.
I mean, it was like kind of before Pro Tools and all that shit. So. It was like before a laptop, they literally had racks and racks of synths and, analog sequencers running and stuff.
Wow. So. Have your paths ever crossed? Have you ever met any of them?
Peter Hook, briefly, but post, Peter Hook and the Light.
Right.
I mean, modern day, but no, man. I mean, I wish. After this comes out, they'll be tracking you down. So, you don't have to.
if you don't want to, but is there a song on there that you're maybe not as fond of, or is it hard? I know it's hard to.
I mean, I'm into ambient and I'm into moody stuff, and I would say if I was gonna pick like the one song, I don't even know how to say it.
Elegia or whatever it is.
Elegia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a little bit of a snooze.
Yeah.
You know.
At least I forgot. Like I went back and listened to whatever the expanded, and there's a 15-minute version. I'm like, okay, at least it's not that.
To me, like when I was like in the day listening to it, that was just like what you would, when you would kind of have your ginger with your sushi. It was like the palate cleanser.
Yes.
I mean, I really think that record is their perfect combination of the art and the pop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after that, it just went a little too bubblegum for me, and like technique and to me, like it went more in that like bubblegum disco. Like they kind of discovered like, oh, we got to have a hit. Like the record label is like, and like it just kind of got a little too formulaic.
I hear
on that, kind of side.
Well, you mentioned your sort of trilogy. Do you have one of those three that you would say is your favorite on the record? If forced to,
Face Up. Face Up. I mean, the vocal performance on that.
Talk to me.
Well, just Bernard in general, like
I know
he can barely sing, and that's what I love so much.
Right.
And like Face Up, he can barely squeak it out.
Oh man, that chorus.
I mean, come on, like it's beautiful. It's like it.
But musically, it is
I might even start crying. I mean, it's like that kind of reaction to me.
Yeah, it's my favorite moments on the record are that for sure.
Yeah,
it's
and like
just,
the whoop.
Yeah, his little.
How can I bear all of you?
Right. Those little yelps, they get me every time. Every time.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that you love that. John.
I mean, there's songs that make me cry, and that's one of them. So
I agree. Well, cool. This was awesome. We will talk to others as well, but I'm so glad you took some time, and we'll
Adam, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Cool.
Yeah.